Welcome back to another Backlog review, the series where I just review random games that I've been playing. Last episode, I did Snake Rattle and Roll. Maybe that was a little too much of an obscure pick, so I picked something everyone's going to know this time, which is Baku Baku Animal on the Sega Saturn. And before we get into this Backlog review, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm very excited about making content, and I want to keep doing it, and I'd love to see this channel grow. I'm going to be reviewing tons of games that you've probably never thought about here on this channel, so if you want to learn about the obscurities of gaming and just the stuff that means the most to me in gaming, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Let's get into it. Now, those of you in the know may notice this is a Japanese case, with it being a regular jewel case and not one of those like double tall jewel cases that were just designed to break. I do love them. I love a good American Sega Saturn game and a PS1 long box, but wow, regular jewel cases are so easy to crack as is, making them just twice as big. What were they thinking? Like, there's not extra stuff in the case. I don't get it. But we got a regular one. This game did come out in America, I think, under the name just it's either just called Baku Baku or Animal in America, and Japan got Baku Baku Animal, and it's like 4 times the price in America because, you know, Sega Saturn. That's just how it goes. But if you can't tell by the cover of this game, which I don't know why you would be able to, this is a puzzle game. I've always kind of compared it to Pack Attack meets Puzzle Fighter in that there are these animal heads, like this pleasant little mouse right here, that you have to match up to their appropriate food. So there's a dog head and there's like a bone block. So when the dog head gets next to the bone blocks, it'll eat all those bone blocks, touching it, kind of like in Pack Attack when Pac-Man eats all the dots or pellets. And then it's like Puzzle Fighter because instead of just kind of clearing things as you go and setting things up that way, you need to get these certain keys, in this case the animal heads, to clear out long rows of food items, and that is ultimately how you mess with your opponent, because this is like a puzzle battling game like Puyo Puyo or Puzzle Fighter or any number of games really. And this is really truly exactly what I want from the Sega Saturn. It's a pretty simple game. I don't need to know Japanese to play it. That's just so weird and so wacky. It has solid, pretty admittedly simple core gameplay, but everything surrounding it is so weird. The voice acting and the sound effects. I've said this before, and it definitely rings true if you play games like Puyo Puyo. With these puzzle games, the sound design is such a huge part of it, and the random like shouting and call-outs that happen in this game are so awesome. They're just literally like people making weird noises, and it's constant, and it's like just such a kind of sensory overload, which I really love with these types of games. It's so quirky. The Sega Saturn also does 3D like no other system. When you look at like the PS1 and the N64 and compare it to the Sega Saturn's 3D, there's something so much more toy-like and playful about the Sega Saturn's 3D, which I think just comes from it being kind of worse than the PS1s and N64s. You know, they can't do as much with animating and polygons and all those words. And, you know, at the time, that is nothing but a graphical flaw for the Saturn, but going back to it in modern day, it's so fun. I just really love the 3D of the Saturn, and mostly this game is 2D, obviously, because it's just a single screen puzzle block game. You don't need a full 3D world for that. But the cutscenes are in 3D, and they're weird. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, this game does exist in English. I fully could look up like the translations for what these characters are saying, but I don't do that for 2 reasons. One is it's just kind of funny having no idea what they're saying or what's going on. I think it honestly adds to the vibe of this game. And 2, kind of going off that, I feel like it wouldn't explain much even if I did know what they were saying. I have a feeling that the story of Baku Baku Animal is not super well thought out. So ultimately, being a puzzle game, this is going to live and die by its gameplay. Like I said, the aesthetics are super fun and super important, but ultimately if that core puzzle gameplay doesn't work, then the whole game doesn't work, even if it is cute and has weird freaky animal heads that do terrifying animations of like a monkey eating a banana. That's not enough. That might be enough to make me like the game, but the gameplay being good would certainly be a bonus. So is it? Let's talk about that. I'm definitely someone who's played a lot of puzzle games in general. I love Puyo Puyo. It's one of my favorite series of all time. I could list off a ton of more puzzle games, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about this one. I really do like the core gameplay mechanic here. I like Puzzle Fighter, and this is very similar, except gravity affects the pieces pretty much. I think this game's gameplay does, I don't want to say suffer from a flaw, but it is something worth noting in how you have to play this game. It's something with like the rate of how often you get food versus how often you get like creature heads. You'll end up with like a bunch more creature heads than you can possibly use to clear all the food that's there. Maybe a better player could plan everything out perfectly, and it's kind of a skill issue that I get so many extra heads. But yeah, too much head. So it is very different from playing something like Puzzle Fighter, where it doesn't feel like you get a key, and then like when a key drops, that's a special moment where you use that to kind of build as much momentum as possible. It's more like you're gonna get way more keys than you need, so where can you put them that they won't mess up your potential for momentum in the future? Because you're not always gonna have bananas for your monkey to eat, and sometimes you'll have like 12 monkey heads just kind of sitting at the bottom that you can't really do anything with. And I think that is a big hallmark of just how this game plays. Combos are a thing and are important. Obviously, me not being able to read any of the words or any of the instructions the game's giving me, I can't exactly speak to the perfect strategy of how to play this game. From my experience with it, it seems like combos are not as important in this game as they are in something like Puyo Puyo, where you really need to chain big combos together or you're going to lose. In this game, it seems more important to clear a lot of blocks at once. So like it's better to just have your dog eat 55 bones in one go than like have your dog eat 4 and then those fall so that the bunny can eat 5 carrots. Like it seems like it's more of a linear type of deal rather than it being exponential if you do combo stuff. So it's not as important to combo things as it is in, say, Puyo Puyo or other puzzle games. That could be wrong, like I said. Maybe I'm completely off base, and yeah, so if you're gonna get into competitive Baku Baku Animal, don't take my advice, look it up yourself, because I'm honestly not 100% sure. But overall, as a puzzle game, this is a super fun game. This is definitely my most played Sega Saturn game so far, which I'm still pretty new in my Sega Saturn journey, so it's not saying a ton, but this is definitely the game I've been most drawn to on my Saturn. Thus far, it's a lot of fun, very quirky, very satisfying puzzle gameplay, if a little bit frustrating at times just because of kind of how this game works, and maybe it's not the most perfectly balanced. For a kind of just random series on the Sega Saturn, I'm very happy with this game. It was like $10, so if you have a Sega Saturn that can play Japanese games, I'd really suggest this one if you're into puzzle games, and yeah, just awesome. Definitely why I wanted a Sega Saturn for weird games like this. I'd give this game an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's not perfect. It does have a couple flaws I can point to. And it's not the most feature-dense game ever. It really is kind of just that main puzzle mode, and I assume a multiplayer. But I don't have tons of friends that want to play random old Sega Saturn games with me. And I also don't have a second controller, so that's just not really a factor. But what is here is super fun. The gameplay works really well, even if it's not completely perfect. And the aesthetics surrounding this game, they knocked it out of the park in just being as weird as possible. This game is so weird, from the visuals down to the sound design, even the gameplay, and just how the game feels to play. Everything about it is weird, and that's what I like. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Definitely would recommend this game. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.